I'm using SwingSet version 2.1 to work out the timing of this trumpet track. As you see, the track is composed of two phrases. We're going to break those into two videos. This is video 1. The track is just me playing on an external MIDI controller with a trumpet voice, and what we hear and what we see is the as-recorded performance. There's been no quantizing or time correction applied. So let's turn on the metronome and pop into the first phrase. My initial thoughts are, it's not bad. There's nothing really jumping out at me as being very early or very late. So let's go into SwingSet, and we're going to start with the analysis mode. And that's not going to change anything or really do anything. It's simply just going to give me a report of the existing swing recipe. And it's telling me I have 3 quarter notes, and one of them is swung -6%, meaning it's early, it's ahead of the grid. I have 2 eighth notes, and they're all swung -9%. I have 4 16th notes, and they're all swung -14%, that's the average, and it gives a range, -19 to -7. I have 3 32nd notes, and they're all swung 91%. So my initial thoughts from this are, this is strange. This is a weird swing recipe. We have these early quarters, eighths, and sixteenths, and these heavily swung 32nd notes. One of the things I'm looking at here right away is for a red flag. And I don't really see any, despite this swing recipe being kind of weird. A red flag would be like a very, very vast swing range in one division, say like -19 to +55. That would be a red flag. It would indicate that probably some of those notes are kind of being misidentified as sixteenths because my playing was so sloppy, because that note was so early or so late that it fell out of the bounds of the note division that it should belong in and got categorized as a 16th. So anyway, what I do at this point is I kind of just take the existing swing recipe and treat it as if it's just correct, and I kind of apply it back to the clip. And what that's going to do is kind of homogenize and make consistent all of these swings in each division. And keep in mind, that's what swing is. Swing is the consistent application of note time shifting. So the heaviest I can go with a negative swing in SwingSet is -10. And I'm going to apply that -10 to the 16th since they're the heaviest negative swung division. And then I'll go -5% for the quarters, -8% for the eighths, and the 32nds we're basically just going to keep them where they are. I'll just go to 90, and applying that recipe looks like so. To get the negative swings, I use the division offset, and so I have to set the setting for the division to straight. So quarters to straight, eighths to straight, 16ths to straight, and then I simply just punch in those negative swing values: -5, -8, -10. And to get the +90% swing on the 32nds, I'll use the global swing. And I set the mode to swing, and I punch in 90 in the global swing. And that's it. We can go back into the report to see that. And exactly what we just said there, that's what we have now. Quarter notes, 3 notes, 2 of them are swung -5. Eighth notes, I have 2 of them, they're all swung -8. 16th notes, I have 4 of them, they're all swung -10. And the 3 32nd notes are swung 90%. Now, you may wonder why not all 3 quarter notes are swung -5, and it's simply because the first quarter note, the one that comes at time 0, right on the first downbeat, can't go ahead of the grid. If it did, it'd be muted because the on signal for that note would happen before the clip started. So that one stays on the grid. So let's have a listen. And kind of what we're listening for is, did anything fall apart? Did we lose anything valuable? Okay, I think it sounds good. I think it basically sounds the same, which makes sense. We simply took the existing swing recipe and reapplied it, with a few liberties here and there. I definitely don't think it sounds worse. So the next place my mind goes is anytime I see these kind of early notes, these negative swing notes, I always wonder, is it going to sound better if they're not early? What if they're right on the grid? So let's try that. I'll just make all 3 quarters, eighths, and 16ths right on the grid, double clicking here to take away the negative swing. And we can see that in the report quickly if we want. All straight, all straight, all straight. Great. Let's have a listen. Okay, I mean, that's a pretty kind of detailed change. I think I would have to listen to it in the context of the other instruments, the other tracks, to make a final decision. But to me, it definitely doesn't sound worse. Arguably, it sounds a little better, which makes sense. It's a little kind of snappier with the metronome. Great. Let's move on. And now let's play around to swing on the 32nd notes and see kind of at what point they lose their charm, if at all. Keep in mind, they're heavily swung now. They're 90%, which is 100% would be to the next 64th. So we'll do this in real time. So play the clip. $52. $12. Okay, so to me, the 12 definitely sounds off, and the one that was 52 also sounded a little bit off. By the way, I should have mentioned, if you can't identify which ones are the 30 seconds, SwingSet has a provision for that, and you're taking advantage of the X mute, which is a global setting down here. It's on by default. And when I put the division setting to X, those 3 notes go muted. Now, they also jumped, and that's because I'm still kind of in the middle of this command. I haven't committed it. That may be a little confusing, but anyway, they're muted now. It's these 3 notes right here between 1.2 and 1.3. But going back to swing, they go unmuted, and they go back to where they were previously. The jumping around won't happen if I click in a white space to commit the change and do that again. They're not going to jump. But if you use SwingSet for a few minutes, you'll get a hang of it to how that works. That when all MIDI transformation utilities in Ableton, they begin with note selection and they end with note deselection. So if you still have the note selected, you're still actively changing parameters, and kind of what you're seeing is a preview of what you will get once you click in a white space to commit the change. So anyway, put them back in swing. Those are the 3 30-second notes. We'll listen to it one more time with this swing at 12. Remember, 90% was where we started. I'll put them back to 90 so you can hear an A, B. So to me, 90 sounds better. The other thing we can kind of consider is a 67% swing is a triplet. And we can see that if I zoom in and change the grid to triplet. It's annoying how it jumps around like that, not 8th triplet. Sorry about that. There you go. So 32nd triplet. That's the grid that they would align to if you had the swing at 66 or 67. Let's see how this sounds. It sounds decent. Maybe I'm just kind of used to it. To me, the 90% sounds a little better. The other thing we can look at would be a 75% swing, and that would be a dotted note. I'm not sure exactly which division would be a dotted note of, but I'll let you do that math. Here's 75%. So that first one in the set, to me, sounds like it's coming just a hair early compared to this, compared to 90. So I don't know, it's a toss-up. The point of this video isn't to tell you this is right and that's wrong. The point is to kind of show you what the exploration process looks like. So I'm going to leave it at 90. I think that's the, until I change my mind, I'm going to say this is the recipe that I like. Straight quarters, straight eighths, straight sixteenths, and a 90% swing on the 30 seconds. And that wraps up video 1. Thanks for watching.